Okay, today's adventure of Blacky's Garage, we're going to be putting together some 5.3 heads for the Bel Air build. Putting new seals, springs, and retainers in. I already got these put together. Just went ahead and did the one side already, so that way we can just put them on after I get these put together. I'll show you real quick how to, put them in. You'll need a little rubber mallet, a pair of pliers. I use a 7/8 socket, deep well, a magnet, and then this old guy right here. They do make a newer style where it clamps down and then it pushes both these down. I don't have that. I've always just used this. It's dangerous. I guess I like it. I don't know. The old ones are over here. I'll hang on to those. They're always good for something, so. We'll start disassembling these. And the valve lap, or the seat, wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna lap them. I can show you how to lap one though really quick. But you wanna take this and just set it right on the top of the valve there. Like that, and then this comes down and it's got the little lever to tighten it, and then that'll just sit right on the valve itself. Right there. So then, while you got some tension on this, take your rubber mallet, because it'll probably be a little sticky, and just give it a whack. Now loosen those retainers up. Take your magnet, pull them out, set them off to the side, and slowly release that. And there's your old spring. Take your pliers, pull that old seal out. Wipe off any old oil that's in there. Or some old cleaner or what have you. This is just old oil. Okay. You want to look at your guide, valve guide. These guys just press in and out right here if you ever need to replace them. It's what slides up and down right here. There's a little wear on it, but it's not bad. I've seen it to where you can grab this with your fingernail, and that's when you want to replace those, but those don't look too bad. So since this is an intake valve, you want to use the blue ones. And then just kind of push it on there. Then I take my 7/8 deep well, and just squish it on there. Some of them tap on. They just kind of ride on there. Take a little bit of oil, and I like to put some on that. And shove your valve back in. Put your new spring on with your new cap. Then you take your valve compressor tool. Clamp it. You take your new retainers. I like to get one started. Get one of those started like that. Take the other one, put it on there, and then take your magnet and stick it right on top of that valve stem. It'll hold that retainer in place. Then let it go slowly. Pull that off. And then you want to just tap down that top of that valve a little bit. Just make sure it's seated in there, because these do slip out sometimes. Then you just continue the process. Sometimes they're not stuck, sometimes they're really stuck. Like that one. That in, that on. Clamp her down. Oh boy. These older tools are a little sketchy just because, I mean, they've came a long way since then, but the end of that likes to flare out, can blow off. Your retainer and your cap will go flying somewhere. Well, come on. There we go. Okay. I saved an intake valve for last. Show you how to lap it. That seat just don't look bad at all, but demonstration purposes, it'll work. So, here's the compound. So it looks like. You got your fine, you got your coarse stuff. So for this one, I'm just going to use the fine because it ain't going to need a whole lot, but I'll just dab it on there a little bit. Here and there, okay? Don't need a whole lot. Now, if these valves were really bad, I would start with the coarse and then obviously go up. Get it suctioned on there, and you just want to rub it back and forth and then pick it up and move it around. And you'll hear it start to get fine. That's a lot of work. Pull it out. Get a clean rag. Then wipe that compound off. Your valve seat's all nice and clean. See that nice shiny ridge around there? That's all you do. You go on to the next. It's a lot of work to get this to stick and go back and forth with it. That's how you seat a valve. Like I said, all the other ones weren't horrible. That one wasn't horrible. If it was real bad, I'd have to sit there for quite some time and try and get that out, but since they're pretty decent, I just didn't really need to do it. I'm sure there is some benefit behind it to redo them all, but it's fine. This is a budget build. Okay. Then when you're done with that, you just put it back in and away you go. Okay. These are tapered, these keepers. These keepers are tapered. Maybe I can get in there. See how it's kind of tapered and it's bigger on one side? The taper goes down, and then on the inside, it's got a little ridge right there where it rides in. On the valve stem. All right, that's that. Now we can take these off. Go ahead and I can uncover that and get these set up. We'll go ahead and put the head gasket on. These do have a front. Make sure your dowels are in there. It'll help guide your head on and with your gasket. So, and this is just a stock OEM good old-fashioned head gasket. Grab your head. Plop her on there. Get your bolts. These are ARP bolts, just because trying to do away with the torque to yield stuff. You get some assembly lube or oil. This is by ARP. You just want to put a little dabble duty on those threads. Just run them in a little. Not tight. You want to make sure you have your washers going the right way. These washers have a little concave in them, and then it goes up against the head of the bolt. These top ones are 10s and these inside ones are 13s. Now if you just had pulling these heads off and didn't turn the engine over or have it cleaned, you want to blow these block holes out inside the block here. They'll get full of coolant and what have you. You want to blow them out real good, just because when you go to put your bolt back in, it can create like a pressure type thing. It's just the bolt's compacting the water down, and it can actually crack your block. So when you go to torque it down, it'll pop the casting on the block. Especially on aluminum aluminum blocks, they will crack. I've seen it. Never done it, but I've seen it. Okay, get a well calibrated torque wrench. We're going to tighten everything to 25 foot-pounds. There. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so then we tighten 1 through 10 to 50 foot-pounds. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are you? 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then after that, we go to 75. 75. And this is gonna be a doozy. There we go. Oh, whew. All right. I like to check them all. That's a workout now. Make sure you turn your wrench down. You don't want that spring in there all wonky. Grab your push rods. Ooh, it's a Ziploc baggie. Now these came with the whole kit, so I know they're gonna be the right length. Put some assembly lube on the end of that sucker. Send her on down to the lifter. Now you can, if you were doing a different cam with different springs and all that, to find your right push rod length, they make a push rod that will tell you what you need. And I have one. I can show you how to use it right after this. So we get these all put in here and set up. I'll pull a rocker off. Okay, grab your little rocker arm plate holder thing and grab your rockers. Put a little assembly lube on all the tops of the push rods and the tops of the valve stem. Okay, here's the comp cam checking tool. Here you have your numbers. Right there. Goes from 6.8 to 7.8. I think these are 7.3, 7.2. Anyway, you got these lines. Hard to see on there. There's a little, barely, little dotted lines on there. And you turn this, and each revolution back to the dotted line is 50 thousandths. So you want to put your push rod in there, put your thumb on it, bring it in here so you can see. You want to put your thumb on this and then turn your crank bolt pulley, put your finger on it and then turn it over. You'll feel it come up. And you want it right on the back side of the lobe. So right there, it's all the way down. Take your rocker, screw it all the way down. Now, see how loose that is? You want to turn this. You're supposed to torque these down as you do this, but you want to put your finger in there. And if it doesn't rotate, they're too tight. Pull that back out. So turn it down 50. Still too tight. You want it at 0 lash. There's 100. 150, I turned it down. Okay. That's better. So now, see, this is like a lot of lash in there. So you want to crank that up. Keep cranking it. I'm going to have to pull it back out. So I want a full turn. Put this back in there. So that's at 0 lash. It's tight, but it's not too tight. And you can move the push rod with your fingers. So then from there, you can count back down. So it's 50, 150, 2, 250, 3, 350, 4, 450, and 5. And we know that the bottom number is 6.8. So you take 6.8 plus 500 thousandths, and that gets you to your 7.3. So then after you do all that, you'd want to add your preload. So it'd be at 500. So you do preload another 150, I believe. Wherever it tightens up. Anyway, you come out to like 7.4, and that's what these are. They're 7.4 and a half actually. Preload on your lifter, preload on your rear row. So you want your preload, and then obviously you want your zero lash down here, but this is just a really nice way of figuring out if you have the right kind of rod or what kind of rod you actually need, honestly. Now the older style, you would need like some paint stuff to go on the valve stem. You turn it over and then you get your rocker ratio. This is just a real easy tool to have with all that. Also, I'll run all these down. I don't know, they say you're supposed to do it with this, but you want to rotate your engine so it's on the bottom side of the lobe so you can get a proper torque spec on this. I've seen it to where you just crank them down and it's fine. But since this one's already down, we're gonna go ahead and torque it. So put that down. And that should be all of them. That should be it. I'll go ahead and do the other side. I need to find the dowel. I'm missing a dowel. All right, I ended up finding a little dowly-do for this thing. Had laying around. So we'll go ahead and get this side ready. Pull our head gasket out. Figure out which side's the front. Okay. All right, we'll go in and set our head down on there. Okay, then remember, torque everything down to 25 foot-pounds. I like to use a little extension. You are supposed to calculate extensions on your torque rating stuff, but I only do if it's over this 2.5 or 3 inches, whatever it is. I've torqued a lot of stuff with that extension, and it's never really failed or anything, but there's some sort of algorithm that will tell you how much more foot-pounds to add to compensate for that extension. But you get out there a ways, like in the 6 range and stuff, yeah, I can see it, but I've never had a problem using this without a calculation, so I'm going to keep using it. You guys can do what you want, but. Alright, so then we go 50. My engine condom fell down. Dang it. And then 75. Okay. Whew. Then go back through them. Okay. Oh, better turn that down. Okay, and then I'll start, I don't really know where it's at, but I'll just start tightening it down, and I'll be able to find what cylinder is what. It's like that one, so then you can just watch them. And if you want to zip these down right away, you can. It doesn't really matter. I'm just used to doing it this way. And it's how I was taught, really. Once you figure it out, it's pretty easy. I mean, there's always there's always two cylinders that aren't open, and then there's always two cylinders that are either on their compression stroke or exhaust stroke. So once you figure that out, it'll be pretty easy. Or you just watch the rocker and figure it out that way. Go ahead and throw the new cam sensor in. We'll put some goop on there. This has a crush washer, so it won't leak, but I like to throw a little goop on there. And we'll put the new crank sensor in. If you have a bunch of these, don't ever store them together because they're magnetic, and then them stored together can lose their polarity, and then you'll wind up with a sensor that don't work. And that ain't good. You don't want that. I like to use this Permatex high temp thread sealant for just about anything, really. It works real good for coolant. Okay, so now I'll bring you down below here. Pull that off. Okay, now when you're rebuilding one of these LS engines, you gotta prime the engine with oil, because if you start it dry, that's gonna be horrible. Even with that assembly lube in there, but we didn't replace the rod and main bearing, so they're starting to get dry, you know. And like the older engines, like the small block 350s and such, they got a rod like this with a little doodad on it to spin a distributor. Now this is an old rod that I got out of an old school block, and then I just welded a piece of bolt to it, and then you put that on the end of your drill and you stick it down in where the distributor goes and you spin it to prime the engine. Well, this don't have a distributor, nor does it have this oil pump rod, because it's in the front of the engine, so it's useless. So what you should do, get yourself one of these IC billet. Is that upside down? No. IC billet oil cooler plates. It's just got an O-ring in it. Pretty simple. It's got 2 ports. I blocked one off. And you take a weed sprayer. Just I think it's a 2-gallon weed sprayer that you pump up. Cut the end of the hose off and put yourself a metric barb on it. I don't know why I used the 90, but you just screw it right on there. Screw it right onto that IC billet doodad. And then take your bolts for your IC billet deal. And I've used this numerous times. That O-ring ain't gonna go bad for a while, so. And honestly, I just don't really have anything to put it on that needs something that fancy. I think it was like, I don't know, 12 or 20 bucks off Amazonians. You can probably get one anywhere. Actually, they make a stock one that has a plug in it, and it's just a single hole, and that'd work great. Anyway, then you get your weed sprayer here. Just go ahead and dump your oil in it, in your weed sprayer. Now I bought this brand new, so don't be alarmed. It's clean. Plus it's already had a bunch of oil ran through it. And honestly, for priming, I don't use any fancy oil. I like to use 10W30 diesel oil. It's probably about the best. Anyway, I just throw whatever conventional oil I have in there, or in the garage at the time. Then you put your pumper back in. And you just pump it up slowly. Now you'll watch it come out of the lifters. It'll take a little bit, and then everything will drain back down to the pan. Now this will create enough PSI to go through the whole motor. Oil filter. All that good stuff. Now, you'll feel it get tough. Just take a break. I like to rotate the engine a little bit when it gets like that. Just because it's actually getting in the bearings and getting around the crank and getting around the rod, journal, and all that stuff. You always want to rotate your engine clockwise. That's the way the pump turns, and it'll pick that oil up. So you can see it dripping down right there, coming out of the rocker hole, going down the valve spring. That's what you want it to do. I usually wait until they're all doing it. Like that one's puddled up, puddled up. These are all dripping. So those are all puddled up. There's maybe 2 here that I'd wait on. Okay, there's one. It's finally starting to show its ugly face. That little bit of oil coming out of there. Whoo, doggy. I got that sucker pumped up tighter than a drum. Still nothing. Got one there. What's probably happening is the lifter's gotta fill up, and then that'll shoot up the rod, push rod, but we're just literally waiting on that. You can buy a oil primer thing from Goodson Tools, or I'm sure like some other tool company makes one, but it's just, I've made one out of PVC. I should have grabbed it, but oh, we got one of the 5 coming. But all it is a chamber, and you dump your oil in that, and then you use a hose and a gauge and science. You can't see in it, so you gotta have a tube that runs at it, and you put compressed air into it. Well, you gotta regulate it down to like 60 pounds. I mean, so in the long run, this weed sprayer does fine, because it's gonna let you know when enough's enough. And I think these like push like 60 to 70 psi, so it works great. I mean, I've really never had an issue with it, ever. And the oil keeps the plastic from breaking, so when you pump it up, it's not gonna explode like, you know, what do you call it? Weed killer wood, I guess. As I say that, and it'll explode on me. Okay, we got this one. This little guy here. Oil's coming up there. We just have this one, and this one that we're waiting on. Our oil jug's doing okay. You want to make sure you put plenty of oil in it. You run out, and you just kind of gotta have to start all over, because it'll drain back down, so on and so forth. But at least when you have oil to the top of the motor, like this, you know it's in the whole rotating assembly. So that's the main thing. I mean, this can clickety-clack all at once, but okay, we just have one to go, and we're good to go. That one never did go, but it'll be all right. We got about probably, I don't know, 7-8 quarts in it, which is, I mean, that would be over full for something like this, but I'll just let this sit here. I did bleed the air off a little. Did bleed the air off just so it doesn't, what'd you call it? And now we can throw some valve covers on this baby and start cleaning all this up. Tape that pan off. Put a water pump on. Put the harmonic balancer on. Then I have a ARP crank pulley bolt that goes in there. But I run the harmonic balancer on with the old pulley bolt, because you can't reuse it, supposedly. It'll break or explode or shoot off into outer space or something. So I got an ARP one. You can reuse those. They're torqued to like 6 million foot-pounds, and you gotta have a 40-foot breaker bar on it to actually do it. But I'll probably throw a water pump on this, clean it up real good, and start painting it. I'm not gonna really bore you guys with that, but next one will be getting those headers cut. Trying to figure that out somehow. I don't know. But they gotta be shortened. They have to have 2 inches taken out of all the runners. That sucks, but maybe I can wrap it with exhaust wrap or something to make it look good. Not saying that after I TIG it, it ain't gonna look good. It's just gonna have that crease around there, and I'm not gonna like it, I don't think. But unless I can figure out a different header situation, but it's the only header I can find that goes around the steering box. It's got this one tube that whoop, blip, zoop, down there, and it clears the steering box right here for power steering. I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. But anyway, that'll be our next project. Other than I'll probably paint the engine bay and the frame and the motor and all that stuff, and hopefully get it in and and done, so then I can actually start on body work. And if I do that, we're just that much closer to good guys, people. Good guys. Come on. I'm not saying I'm making a deadline, but it kind of sounds like it. I'm not gonna make it. But I'm on Instagram, TikTok, face page. Go there, follow me, like me, wave at me. See y'all later. Remember, your project ain't gonna get itself done, so get out there and work on it. See y'all next time.